This is our last week discussing the first book in the Harry Potter series, and we're looking at the last 5 chapters. At the beginning of these videos, I said that I had read the book to Nathaniel years ago. I obviously don't really remember much of anything about the book. I have zero memory of anything that happened in the Forbidden Forest or anything about it. I think it's interesting that this is a forbidden area to the students, and yet here they are for detention being sent into the Forbidden Forest. Not only that, they're being sent in the middle of the night. Is it because the people at the school have decided that this will send a good, strong message to other students not to break the rules because everybody's so afraid of the forest, as we find in Malfoy? Or is it because it's time for Harry to make some new discoveries? We find out that a unicorn has been killed and another one is dying or dead in the forest. Ronan makes the comment that the innocent are the first to die. Surely I see the unicorn as being something innocent in fairy tales and stories. Harry and Malfoy are the ones who discover the dead unicorn. As Harry's looking at the dead unicorn, a creature, something, comes out of the darkness and drinks the blood, and then comes after Harry with the blood dripping from its mouth. Pretty gross. Malfoy has run off. Fortunately for Harry, there's somebody else in the woods at that time, another centaur named Firenze, who comes to his rescue. Firenze quickly realizes who Harry is and tells him the forest isn't safe at this time, and especially not for Harry. Firenze later tells Bane that the sooner Harry gets out of the forest, the better. Firenze asks Harry if he knows what unicorn blood is used for and goes on to explain, "It is a monstrous thing to slay a unicorn. Only one who has nothing to lose and everything to gain would commit such a crime. The blood of a unicorn will keep you alive, even if you are in an inch from death, but at a terrible price. You have slain something pure and defenseless to save yourself, and you will have but a half-life, a cursed life, from the moment the blood touches your lips." We learn that it's Voldemort that drank the blood. The fact that 2 unicorns have recently been killed and there's not really any mention of other unicorns having died says to me that he has become pretty desperate. All he needs now is the elixir of life. I find the centaurs and their study of the planets and the movement of the planets to know what's coming in the future to be interesting. I think there's this overriding idea in this story that there's a knowledge of what is to come. I see it mostly with Dumbledore. I'll touch more on that in a few minutes. Makes me think of my favorite nonfiction book, the Bible, which is full of a lot of prophecy. Pick it up if you haven't read it. I really like the chapter where Harry, Ron, and Hermione are trying to get to the Sorcerer's Stone. The variety of spells that have been put on things are quite interesting and really force the 3 of them to work together as a team, each of them bringing their own skills to the effort. But in the end, it's Harry that must go on by himself to face whoever. We find then it's Quirrell on the other side of the door, which really threw me. I was sure that it was Snape all along, just like Harry. She did a good job of convincing me, even though I read it before. I find this to be a really interesting twist and a reminder that things aren't always what they seem to be. Quirrell tells Harry that Snape, sure, he seems like the kind of guy, but he was really out there trying to save you. It was Quirrell who had been cursing Harry during the Quidditch match, and Snape was actually trying to do a counter-curse. So I have a question. Was Quirrell's stutter real? Or was it just a way of making him seem less likely to be the villain? I found something that I thought was interesting when I went back to find out more about Quirrell. Back in the chapter where they're at the Leaky Cauldron, he actually says to Harry that he needs to go down to Diagon Alley to buy a book on vampires. I'm curious about that. It talks also about how he had, I think, met a vampire when he was traveling around the world. Was he really getting that book because he had to learn how to drink the blood of the unicorn? Did Voldemort tell him that he would need to do that in order to extend his life? Just an interesting thought. So here Harry is back again in front of that mirror that was so interesting a couple chapters back. An answer to Sean's question about what I would really desire, what I would see in that mirror. I don't know how it would look, but what I desire most is peace. Peace in my heart, peace in my household, peace in the world. So Harry really has to use his brain here to prevent Quirrell from figuring out where the stone is. In reality, though, the enchantment was such that there was no way that Quirrell was going to be able to figure out how to get that stone. Dumbledore says, "You see, only one who wanted to find the stone find it but not use it would be able to get it. Otherwise, they just see themselves making gold or drinking elixir of life. My brain surprises even me sometimes. I really like Dumbledore. I look forward to finding out more about him as I read on in this series. Here's one of those situations that I was talking about with the foreknowledge. I feel like Dumbledore had prepared Harry for this moment coming to get the elixir of life or the sorcerer's stone. Quirrell obviously had never seen the mirror and didn't know anything about it, but Harry had experienced 3 nights before that mirror in a heart-to-heart conversation with Dumbledore about it. So how did that mirror get in that room? Was this all a way of Dumbledore preparing Harry for what was to come? Does Dumbledore know the future? I like the way it all plays out. My favorite part of the entire book, I think, though, is the image of Harry's mother and the love that she had for Harry. We find out from Voldemort that she didn't have to die, that she died protecting Harry. At the end of the book, Harry asks Voldemort, why did Dumbledore want to kill him? Dumbledore won't give the answer. I'm sure that's something we'll find out as we read on in the series. But the image of Harry's mom protecting him, and then the idea that the love that she had for him gave him protection throughout his life really, really spoke to me. As a mom, I think about the love that I have for my children, and I would die for them. If only in dying for them I could protect them by giving them whatever it is that is in Harry that makes it impossible for Voldemort to be able to touch him. But love is really powerful, and the love of a parent reaches deeply into a child, and one can only hope that in the future that love will be their protection. The thought that my love for my children could possibly give them protection into their future, if not that kind of protection here, but just that they've been loved, and that that love could protect them from evil, that's an awesome thought. I know none of the others in the discussion group are mothers, yet, for some of them. I hope that there are some that are listening and following along that are. And I would love to hear your comments on just the kind of protection that a mother's love can give to their children. Of course, those of you that aren't mothers have had mothers, and maybe you have some comments to make as well. Well, that's all for this Monday. I'll see you next Monday for the first 3 chapters of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.